This lesson is on supplementary angles. Supplementary angles. I was just having a quick thought about how I could use some supplementary income from these videos. Supplementary angles are the sum of two angles that would equal 180 degrees. So two angles whose measures together equal 180 degrees. Well, I ended my lesson on complementary angles with stating how I have my students think of the letter P in complementary as being worth 90 degrees. Well, for supplementary, it's spelled with two P's right next to each other. The 90 degrees for one P and 90 degrees for another P would equal 180 degrees. So I usually have them think of P as 90 degrees, and I found that often helps students to remember the difference between complementary and supplementary. Complementary being one P or two angles that add to equal 90 degrees, whereas supplementary, there are two P's. Those would be two angles that would add to equal 180 degrees. This is a picture of a section of parking lot. This line is a straight line or a straight angle. It measures 180 degrees. So here is one angle of the two angles on that straight line. We will call this X. X represents the measure of this particular angle. Y represents the measure of the second angle on this straight line. Being that X and Y are the only two angles on this straight line, then angle X plus angle Y must equal 180 degrees. I was out for a walk, and I do that because I don't run. I can't stand running. But I was out for a walk and I came across this tree, and it reminded me of my math class, because my students are always like trees they're trying to leave. But I wanted to show you this tree for the supplementary angles lesson. Here, come take a look. Here are the angles formed by the tree. Notice the larger tree forms a right angle with the ground. Notice to the left, the smaller part of the tree divides that 90-degree section into two different angles. One angle being the measure of X, the other angle being the measure of Y. So X plus Y would equal the other 90 degrees. What we need to find are two angles together that would equal 180 degrees. So going from the straight line on one side over to the straight line on the other side. We have three angles here, X, Y, and the right angle. The two angles we could put together to form 180 degrees are the right angle, which is indicated by the blue angle mark, and then the yellow angle mark, which is both the X and Y angles together. I have removed one of the rays so that you could more clearly see what I was referring to. These two angles here make 180 degrees if you add them together. These two angles are also supplementary angles because together they add to equal 180 degrees. I removed the other ray to show you that the blue angle mark and the yellow angle mark together would equal 180 degrees. Using only these four highlighted rays, let's identify some pairs of supplementary angles. Reminder, you may pause the video at any time. One pair of supplementary angles could be KJM and NJM. Another pair of supplementary angles could be KJL and NJL. If the measure of angle PQR is 115 degrees, what is the measure of angle SQR? So PQR and SQR are two angles that are supplementary to each other, so they should equal 180 degrees total. You already know one of the angle's degrees, 115. Subtract what you already know from one angle, 115, from 180, the total of the two supplementary angles. This will leave you with 65. The measure of angle SQR is 65 degrees. How many pairs of supplementary angles can you find? Two angles that measure to equal 180 degrees. Pause the video here to try. The answers: angles 1 and 2, angles 3 and 4, angles 5 and 6, and angles 1 and 5 because both angles are 90 degrees and together they equal 180.